Hello and welcome back to There and Doing. I'm Hester and I'm joined by the brilliant Ben Bowman. Ben, should we just get straight into it?
Yeah,
The games are coming so thick and fast that nothing's really changed with me, apart from a little bit more hurt.
Yeah.
Since the last pod.
we're just getting more and more miserable.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, so I reckon let's just jump straight into it.
Yeah, let's do it.
You're at the game. Can you sum up? And you've watched it back already as well. You've got a video that's just come out. Breaking it down. Can you sum up the Chelsea game?
Good first 10 minutes, 15 minutes. I do think, though, on reflection, watching it back, obviously when you're in the stadium, you're always far more emotional, especially in these kind of derby games where you go 2-0 up, you're fucking buzzing and you're not necessarily piecing together what's happening as much. Chelsea controlled that game from the start, I think, or certainly the first 15 minutes. I think despite the fact that we turned the ball over a couple of times or a few times, and we had chances to put that game to bed. But yesterday, coming away from the game just kind of made me feel I'm still fully behind Ange and Postecoglou, like two different people. I'm still and what he's trying to do, 100%. And it's clear that he's not been backed enough. But it sort of I couldn't get away from the feeling of just thinking like, this idea that you have to go 3 or 4-0 up is just not sustainable. And the lack of adaptation and recognition of the way the game was going was really frustrating. And like I said, I was buzzing in the first 10, 15 minutes because we saw a response. We saw exactly what we wanted. 2-0 up, dreamland, 2 good goals. Like, Decky's goal was fantastic. I was convinced it was offside at the point, so I didn't really celebrate it that much. I thought it was off. And Solanke's goal was brilliant. Again, our pressing was good in the first 10, 15 minutes or so, and the first half in general at points. And I think part of the reason that it fell off a little bit in the second half was because we tired, but also Chelsea just got a lot more control of the game with Fernandes dropping deeper. Fernandes was a massive problem in the first half anyway, I thought, because his off-the-ball movement, I think that Spurs were kind of always leaving a spare man. We were going man-to-man with the pressing. And I said it in the start. I said it in the start of my YouTube video. Like, Spurs' pressing is always about very high risk versus very high reward. Like, it's what we do. And when you're that aggressive in kind of that, kind of that 4-1 in terms of like Sarr, Kulusevski, Johnson, and Son and Solanke, you've got a high chance of winning the ball back because you've got some really good presses in there. But also, like, Chelsea have got very good technical quality in that back line. And they're very well set up. And I think they knew what we were going to do. And they rode out that early storm, which, again, like I said, Spurs' pressing was good and we forced turnovers. But I wouldn't say that the 2 goals didn't come from turnovers. They came from Cucurella slipping over, and we maximised that. 2 brilliant goals. I thought Solanke's movement for the first goal was superb.
Solanke was excellent the whole game. He was let down.
I felt sorry for him because it was like first half, he was our best player by a mile. And he, like the hold-up play, everything just came together. He was fantastic. And I think one thing we've been saying about Solanke, about that box presence and that movement, do you know what that goal really reminded me of? Like Defoe, the way he just peeled away from Colwill and got in front of him because he knew Sanchez had to commit because it's such a good ball from Johnson. And Johnson has that ability to put the ball in that, what they call it, like the corridor of uncertainty. Sanchez has to commit. So he knows as long as I get around Colwill, if I get something on it, it's going to be a goal. Did that so well. His link-up play, pressing, relentless, superb. But I think the problem was we went 2-0 up with 2 unforced errors that we capitalised on brilliantly. And then after that, that's where I want to see Ange be more pragmatic because, especially against Chelsea, where you've got Enzo Fernandez, Romeo Lavia, Caicedo inverting into midfield from fullback, there is so much technical quality and intelligence in that midfield. It's a joke. I remember Lavia making his debut, I think, for Southampton against us. That first game of last season a few years ago at White Hart Lane, where we beat Southampton 4-1 and thinking, this guy is a fucking player. I think he was like 18 at that time. And obviously, his Chelsea career hasn't really properly got... Well, it has got going now, obviously, but didn't really get going last season because of the injuries and stuff. But
yeah, I forgot they had him.
They've got so much press resistance in that midfield. And yeah, Badashile was uncomfortable a few times because his left footer playing on the right hand side, and we were kind of using him as Sanchez as triggers a little bit, and we were jumping quite high. And there was a couple of times where like that Solanke chance that he probably should have scored came from Sanchez giving the ball away, and we wouldn't have made that chance if we weren't so aggressive. So, there's the feeling that if you take your chances, you won't be in this kind of situation. But also, I think Ange, he got outclassed. I think he got outfought and outclassed yesterday. I think Maresca knew, and I think Chelsea. I think you could always tell in a way. I know it sounds so weird, and I know it's so early into the game, but I could tell the way that the Chelsea fans celebrated that Sancho goal and the way the team sort of celebrated that goal. They knew they were going to get back into it.
Yeah, they smelled blood, didn't they?
They smelled blood because I think that if you watch the goal back, and it happened time after time, and we had a warning straight after we scored the first goal. We press with that aggressive man-to-man shape, but because of Caicedo's positioning and because of the fact that Basuma as that lone number 6, and look, Basuma, fuck me, like he wasn't good yesterday, and the penalty and all that, which we'll get onto, but he had a lot of work to do because I think his job was basically to just follow Cole Palmer, and every time Palmer kind of came out into that right wing position or just in that right half space, because Neto would push on and a doggy would be on him, Basuma went with him every time. And because his midfield partner in Sarr has gone up with Kulusevski and the wingers and Solanke to press so aggressively, Fernandez or Cucurella was basically always free in like that left half space. And it meant that if they could get out, they could just run directly at Spurs pretty much. Fernandez would carry the ball. They'd play it wide to Sancho. That's exactly where the goal comes from. It's a really good goal from Sancho. Like he takes it so well. But it just felt like there isn't the need to be that aggressive. And that's kind of the first time. Like, don't get me wrong, I've not. It's not that I've never felt that about Ange, and I've never felt that he's needed to adapt. But I think to me, yesterday, watching it play out after the first 2 goals and watching it back, I think this has been one of the games I think I've been so frustrated with him the most, because I think it was clear what was happening. And I think Chelsea knew as long as they hung in there, as long as they didn't go 3 or 4-0 down, then they would win the game. And it always just felt a little bit like that. And I think that's really a really dangerous place to be in as a fan, where you kind of feel like, you feel like as a Spurs fan, you're kind of going to throw it away anyway, because we've got form for that, right? It's what we do. But at the same time, I think it was quite evident what was happening. And it's a real shame, because I just don't think, like, pressing always comes with risk versus reward. But I just don't feel there was the need to be that aggressive, especially at 2-0.
Yeah, I know. I was struggling for words when it comes to Ange yesterday. Like, I'm Ange, massive Ange believer, and I'm with him till the end. But fuck me, it was the most stupid management I've ever seen in my life yesterday.
Yeah,
like I think, like you said, Enzo Maresca tactically outclassed him. I think Harvey Price could have been on that touchline and tactically outclassed him yesterday. Genuinely, we're 2-0 up at home. 10 minutes in, we've started unbelievable, and we've capitalized on 2 errors from Cucurella. Yeah, we know. I think Stevie Wonder can tell how tired the players look out there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Every single game they give their all. They're playing at such unsustainable physical intensities. Each of them non-stop. We never stop, and we haven't got the squad to do it. We haven't got the squad depth to do that sustainably. And we're 2-0 up at home. We've been gifted these goals. We've started well. Again, like I've said before, we've come out. I feel like this season we've burnt out too quick. We're like a boxer in round 1 that's given their all, and got like a couple of heavy punches along the way, and at the end they're like huffing and puffing, and then it's still got like 11 rounds left. That's us this season. We've played 22 games, 23 games this season. We've still got we've played something like that. We're only like 1/3 of the way through, and the players are done, and we didn't hold back and just try and pick them off on the counter. We didn't understand the game state. I think Ange was trying to overcompensate for the criticism that he's been getting, and be like, this is a statement, 4-0. Like, I think he could maybe think we could win like 4-0, 5-0 here. And again, it could be like the Man City game of being like, this is what happens when it works. This is why I do it. But we got absolutely picked off. And I don't think Chelsea even sort of clicked into third or fourth gear. I think they were pretty steady and they believed they were going to win, and they just carried on playing their game.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what it is.
Baffled. I was baffled by Postecoglou yesterday. I think Carragher at the end of the game was correct. I think he said something like, I think he was talking about the sustainability of the way Postecoglou plays, and the truth is, I know he has not been backed, and we were saying this in the last episode. It is infuriating because if he's given the minerals, you can see. I think that's the only fair way of really assessing him, because he hasn't been backed. Like, imagine Postecoglou with Chelsea's team. They spent 1.2 billion. Like, do you know what I mean? I don't even think he's necessarily a better manager than Maresca. Maresca's just bald and Italian. Do you know what I mean? So but he just looks the part, doesn't he? But and his name's Enzo Maresca. But I think the sustainability of the way he plays. I think Carragher was saying Pep Guardiola, he didn't win the Champions League. What did he do? He adapted. He made himself a little bit more defensive. He got a bigger squad. He played 4 centre-backs for a season and won the Champions League. You have, no matter how good you are, no matter how good your team is, that's Pep Guardiola and Manchester City. And he's had to enforce, he had to change something. He's had to enforce a bit of pragmatism, a little bit extra, so that he can, to get the job done. And I don't think Postecoglou, even if he had the same squad as City, etc., I think he would be found out because of games in certain, like in seasons across the board of the season, because of games like this. It was stupid. I can't get over it. So I saw a lot of the arguments being like, look, Postecoglou can't dive in like Bissouma and concede like the most brain dead penalty I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah,
that's true, but that decision making like that and brain dead decision making, like there was a bit where we were on a counter attack and Brennan Johnson, instead of overlapping Kulusevski, I know Kulusevski sort of came out wide. He stopped his run and he went inside Kulusevski and he almost like blocked that. He almost blocked the movement for Kulusevski. Kulusevski wouldn't have been able to invert, which normally you overlap, you let the defender sort of think about you, so the defender doesn't overcommit to the middle. Kulusevski drives in on his left foot and finds a pass to Son or Solanke, whoever made the run on the far side. So Johnson's just, I think the decision making of the squad, Bissouma diving in, Sarr, that stems from legginess and fatigue. And we were going from minute 1 and we were 2-0 up and we carried on pressing, and at the end of it you can see the pressing was dismantled. Like it was there was no cohesion and we were struggling and we were just getting picked apart, we were getting picked off and they were away and it was effortless for them. And that causes erratic behaviour in our players. I'm not being funny. Like, I don't think, I know there is an argument to be made, like the players are there to make the decision on the pitch.
Yeah.
But when you're fatigued, when you're leggy, your decision making is blurred. And I think we saw that yesterday. I thought it was terrible management. And again, I'm saying this, I'm Ange, but it just doesn't help the narrative whatsoever when you've got people say, like Sky Sports going in on him at the end of the game saying you can't play like this, etc. I watched Sky Sports this morning. I watched the Football Morning Show, and they're saying the same thing. They can't understand why he was doing this, why he didn't sit back after being 2-0 and then just pick him off for the counter attack because he's got the players to do it. And I just and the statistic is worrying of, since the home game to Chelsea last season, we've lost more games in the Premier League than we've won. That's starting to worry me now with Postecoglou. Like, he can be criticised. I'm not Ange out, but he can be criticised, and you can look at this and think something's got to change, because we can't keep playing the way we're playing right now throughout the system, because we haven't got the squad depth for that to be a sustainable philosophy. And yesterday epitomised that.
Yeah, we don't have the squad. We do not have the squad whatsoever. And look, injuries have played a massive part in Postecoglou's inability to establish consistency. But also, like you said, it's almost a bit of he needs a big squad and he needs to be back more, but it's also, with the players that he's got, it's also a self-fulfilling prophecy kind of thing. It's like these players are being run into the ground because they're being run into the ground. And I think it doesn't have to be like I don't know. Look at Liverpool, for example. Liverpool can press like mad dogs. And, I think there's also an argument. I could see a very similar thing happening against Liverpool in a few weeks. Like, I always go into these bigger games thinking because of the way that we are so intense from the start, we can do something. I always think that. At bigger games, I don't think Tottenham were ever out of it. Well, I think we were out of it, to be honest, as soon as that equaliser went in yesterday. As soon as we relinquished the lead, I didn't think we would come back. But going into the game, especially like yesterday when, you see Romero and Van der Ven back on the team sheet, and all of a sudden it's your first 11 bar Forster. So everything's kind of feels, even though it's always nagging in the back of your mind about Romero and Van der Ven, and obviously they both went off injured yesterday. But immediately, even for that an hour and 15 minutes before kickoff, it feels better. And I always kind of go into these games knowing that we will create chances against good sides that will want to be a bit more open. But over the course of the season, it's just that it's not sustainable. It isn't sustainable. And I really do believe in Ange, and I really do believe in his way of playing. I do, because I want it to work. And I think maybe we're all blinded by that a little bit. And that's fine to admit that as well. Like, that's fine to admit, because we've been starved of good football for so long. And you've seen the ceiling, and I think the feeling has kind of got a bit worse this season because we've seen how good it can be. Once something gets dangled under your nose like that, or like sort of shown to you like in front of your eyes, like the City game and all that kind of stuff, it makes the losses more infuriating because it raises the ceiling, but it also makes the floor lower. And that's what's kind of happened. And I think there's many reasons as to why that is the case. And many of those reasons aren't necessarily down to Postecoglou. And it is down to the fact that he doesn't have the squad to be able to execute the game plan every single week because of the intensity of the way that we play. But that's where you've got to adapt as a manager. That's where you've got to find a way to get more control. That's where you've got to find a way to not run these players into the ground. Because we gave up all of that control to Chelsea in the second half. I mean, we didn't really have control of the game at any point, I didn't think. And that's fine. Like, we didn't have control of the game necessarily against Man City in the League Cup. But it was a good performance, and we showed that we could suffer and get through it. But to yesterday, like I said, I think it was just quite clear from early on. Despite, I also think like I said earlier, like I kind of feel like we're almost being a bit gaslit by the 2 goals in terms of thinking that our pressing was working. And there were moments that it was working 100%. There were, like, you think of the Solanke chance that he should have scored. Like I said earlier, it came from the good pressing. Or it came from a poor pass from Sanchez, but we were able to win the ball back high up the pitch. I don't think we were forcing Chelsea into that many errors. And I think they were picking through us and picking us off more than we were winning the ball back. That's not to say that we played badly in that first half. You could just sense it, and you could just see it coming. Because one, you feel like it's inevitable with this group of players that you feel like the individual the mistakes and the decision making and the bad decision making, like with the penalties, etc., creeps in, and what Basuma did, but even before the penalty, giving the ball away, and then just like, feeling like he has to overcompensate for that by diving into a tackle. And it's like, he did exactly the same thing against Karabag in the Europa League.
I was saying that about that earlier.
Exactly the same penalty. But I think you're right. I think, sadly, that does a lot of that bad decision making. I know exactly what you were on about with the Johnson one. Like, that was just before Johnson came off, wasn't it? Where he went down.
Oh, that was infuriating because it was like,
that is an Ange. That is the sort of goal that we score. That is like that is a good shot. I know we didn't fashion a shot from it, but like, people will go on about like, I was just looking through the comments just quickly then while my internet crashed out of some of the early comments on my YouTube video, and someone said that I glossed over the Solanke miss, the one in the first half, and someone said that was the highest XG miss that we had, or the highest XG chance we had. It was like 0.7 something, and it was like, that is true, and he should have scored. But when you watch it back, I think the pass he's kind of behind him a little bit, and he sort of doesn't
behind him. Yeah,
it's a little bit behind him, and I also think the XG is a bit. Sometimes people get, and it's happening with Spurs fans a little bit at the moment. About like yesterday, people will say that we didn't win because we didn't take our chances because we had more non-penalty XG than Chelsea. Son should have buried that chance that he had, even though it might have been offside with a doggy anyway. Solanke should have scored that chance, but it's also about those kind of situations that will not show up that will not register any XG because you don't get a shot away. Those are massive chances, massive chances, especially when you're under pressure early in the second half, like we were. Look, if you go on that SofaScore now, Like, look at the momentum bar. We had no momentum in that game. And the one opportunity you get to break to make it 3-1 like that, Johnson doesn't overlap. Kulusevski's really unsure of what, like, the pattern. Like, you think of Spurs, like, I don't know, you think of Tottenham, and then you think of, like, Liverpool over the years, like, flying forward in the way that they do. You can see, like, a Liverpool attack. You know what they're doing. You know the way they score goals, and
So
that was
direct.
that with that was that with Tottenham. There, we had an opportunity, and it was like we just the wrong decision made, like the bad decision making again. But like you said, I think Ange also has to take responsibility for that, because that fatigue creeps in mentally as well. One thing I massively also didn't understand was, just on the Solanke one as well. Like I said, that was the highest XG of chance that we missed. I think it was more than Son, but that's only because of the proximity. That's only because of where he is. And like, it's not, that doesn't really factor in the pass necessarily. Like, you're just taking it on face value of like the shot that he had from that distance with no one around him. Like, he should have scored. Like, I'm not making excuses for him, but like, I didn't think it was a great pass either, to be honest. Anyway,
No.
Anyway, I can't remember what I was going to say. Also, one thing I didn't understand from Ange's point of view was not bringing James Maddison on. I didn't get that.
Yeah,
I think Maddison has shown so many times that he can give us control in these kind of situations and games. I think I've said it so long this season. Like, you saw how important Maddison was at the Etihad, at taking the sting out of the game and winning free kicks and stuff like that. Like, Maddison was excellent on the ball at City, because he would, like I said at the time when I made that video, he would drop into the back three. He'd allow a doggy to push in and invert a little bit more. We could get out and play. And obviously that was without Romero or Van de Ven. So Maddison's role in build-up is more important in that game than maybe it was or would have been yesterday, because we started with Romero and Van de Ven on the pitch. But Maddison just takes the sting out of those kind of situations. I didn't understand. Like, when Johnson came off, I thought Maddison at half-time. I just thought that, like, we're not getting on the ball at all. We are not getting on the ball. And I just think Maddison's ability to affect our build-up and affect our ability to disrupt a game and slow it down is really overlooked, seemingly by our manager as well, which I think I just didn't understand that change. Because again, like, if you're putting Werner on, because obviously Chelsea at halftime changed. They took off Lavia because he was on a booking, presumably because he was on a booking. I can't think of any other reason why he would have taken him off, because I thought he was amazing in that first half. Like, and one thing, I hate to fucking bumlick Chelsea, because I hate them. I hate them so much. But you also get, like, especially being there yesterday, I think with Palmer and stuff like that. Yeah, I've watched Palmer 3 times in live now. I went to the away game last season. I think watching this Chelsea team in the flesh, I think you get a real appreciation for their technical level and quality. They are very good, like very, very good. So again, got beaten by the better team on face value, can live with that.
They're ugly as well. Like, they're
just game management and smarts. That's what they've got. Like, and we don't have that. But on obviously, he took off Lavia, he brought on Gusto, and he just pushed Cucurella. So, like, Cucurella was getting so much license to go forward, kind of playing in number 10 positions, just got so much freedom because Enzo dropped deeper and was kind of doing what I wanted Maddison to do for us. And that was why it was really frustrating. And what I didn't understand was, it was almost like Ange looked at it in too much of a basic sense. And this might be wrong, but it was almost like, well, they're leaving space with Cucurella because they're pushing him on. Let's just go like for like in terms of the pace and bring Werner on for Johnson, because we could get him behind on the break. That's bollocks to me. That's absolute bollocks. We had no control. And whether we were going to get a few more counter-attacking chances or not, Chelsea had complete control of the game. And it was like, because Werner, there was a couple of times where we were able to get the ball out to Werner in a bit of space. And it was like, yes, he might have more pace than Kulusevski, but what you gain in Werner's pace, you completely lose in his footballing IQ. And what Kulusevski, it's completely opposite with Kulusevski. What you don't have with Kulusevski in terms of his pace, he makes up for in his ability to make the right decisions in those wide areas. That's why he suits the role that he plays for Tottenham so well as that Mazzala, like half winger, because he's got this good decision making of a winger. He doesn't quite have the pace, but his physical robustness and his creativity allows him to drift. You know, he can drift in those kind of half spaces. Technical
competence,
and his IQ, right? It's like, I just did not understand that at all. Like, not playing Kulusevski on that right-hand side and not getting Maddison on to get deeper in midfield, or allow Sarr to drop back and play with more of a pivot and get Maddison on the ball and give him a bit. I could not understand that for the life of me. When I saw Werner coming on, I was genuinely baffled. I didn't get it.
And the fact as well that we've got such a tired team. Maddison's probably the most well-rested player in that attacking front line.
Yeah,
there's been so many games where he's been rested. Like he's not leggy Maddison at all. So I don't know why he didn't play, because you could tell after 15 minutes we were fucked. We were so burnt out. I want to know what the atmosphere was like at the end of the game, because obviously you were there in the stadium. I turned the TV off after I actually had a takeaway curry. It was nice.
Nice. What did you have?
But I want to know what I just. Well, actually, I had a Chinese, but I had a curry.
Oh right.
But it was just chicken curry with vegetable rice and a bit of seaweed. It was delicious.
Nice.
Made me feel a bit better about myself as well.
Yeah.
So what was the atmosphere like, mate? Look, you're at the game. The final whistle goes. We've just conceded 4 at home. The one thing I would say, and I just want to say, I don't like this at all. I really don't like this. I feel like whether it's down the road or not, obviously we're going to get into the articles that have come out. I get the sense now that this is terminal. I think that it's like early stages of a terminal. I'm going to say disease, but it's not. Like, I do think Ange will be gone come the new year after the run of games we have in December, and then obviously we got Wolves, who will probably have a new manager, and Newcastle. I'm struggling, and I feel like I'm going to sound Ange out, because I'm not. I'm actually refusing to be Ange out until it happens, because I feel like it will. This is my thought process. I feel like it's going to happen.
Yeah.
What I was wondering was what was the atmosphere at the end of the game? Did you feel we just conceded 4 at home? What was it like?
I don't. There wasn't really mass booing. Most people had left before the third goal went in. There wasn't really. I can't say I got up out of my seat when the third goal went in. I think I just felt I sat there that second half just feeling pretty apathetic, to be honest. The atmosphere in the first half was good. Was really good. And again, because you're seeing something on the pitch, right? Especially first. And it's a derby. Everyone's going to be up for it. Romero and Van der Ven in the team, great. Like, but by the end, I think, and again, it's like this whole, there's obviously been a lot of chat about Levy and all this kind of stuff. There wasn't really, well, I mean, my area isn't the most vocal anyway, but there wasn't a lot of that. I don't think there was any of that from my knowledge. There was a lot of backing Postecoglou, especially when we were winning, of course. But it was, I think, towards the end, it's almost worse that there wasn't a load of boos and stuff like that. It just kind of felt like just apathy. I think it's probably, I think it just go home.
Bit numb. Just
go
numb.
home.
Yeah. I want to get onto the next run of games, and I want to talk about the players now, because I feel like the players are so dead on their feet, and we got to go to the Ibrox midweek, and we've got to go, and then we've got Southampton away, which hopefully will be an easy game, but never is on paper, is it, with Spurs? It is on paper, but it never actually is with Spurs. But the running games we've got, the Man United at home with Carabao Cup, and then Liverpool. These players, I don't know if they got much more to give. I genuinely don't. But what I'm sick and tired of are players coming out with quotes, etc., saying we need to be better. We need to be better. Like Bissouma, when Bissouma came out and said, what did he say? He was like, I'm so sorry about what I did. I'm going to be back better and stuff. I don't care. I've got to the point where I don't care anymore. I genuinely don't. Son coming out and saying the fans are amazing. The players need to be better. I love Son to bits. How many times have we heard Son say this? He's had 7 managers in the dugout in his tenure at Spurs, in his 10 years, or whatever he's been at Spurs. 7 managers in the dugout. He's probably said this about 5 times, 6 times. And yet again, another manager looks like he's probably going to be failed, more likely so than succeed. I would fucking love it if he does, if he succeeds and he overcomes this. But like I said, I feel like it's terminal because I feel like the players, I don't think they've got anything else more to give, and I think they'll keep saying, and this is the thing with Spurs, they say all this, and they never ever back it up with the way that they actually show. They don't ever show it. They say it and they don't show it. It's like my mum used to say. I used to be like, "Oh, Mum, I'm so sorry." She'd be like, "Stop saying sorry. Show me. Tidy up your room instead of saying sorry, or do the dishes." Yeah. And it's like, okay, I don't want any words from saying sorry. What I did love was Romero coming out and backing Ange. I love that because he's the only player that has done that so far, and he's the only one that's shown accountability and said, "Look, the team, it's on the team. It's not Ange, it's on the team." Which I think.
Especially as well when he hasn't been playing. Like, he's not been playing. It's definitely both.
Yeah. No, exactly. I think it's a bit of both, but you're taking accountability. That's all I want. Postecoglou's taking accountability for him. Romero's taking accountability on behalf of the players. And I look at the quotes from Bissouma and Son. I don't give a shit. I'm so fucking done with listening to these players say sorry.
Yeah.
That's all I've ever heard. I'll give my whole life to Spurs. I have never seen us win a trophy. Like, I wasn't really a Spurs watching when I was 6. When we won the Carabao Cup. So I want something back. You saying sorry isn't enough. Show me that. But I don't think they've got anything else to give. So it's like I'm like torn in being really pissed off them and thinking, well, actually, I can't see them getting better because they are so done. And we got to go to the Ibrox. And I think the Ibrox are going to overwhelm them. The whole situation, the whole game, I think it's going to fucking do them. I'm not looking forward to it at all. No. But what did you make of the quotes? And I also want to get into, because it's a nice segue to Romero, but I want to get into Son as a captain, because the thing that really pissed me off was how upset. Okay, this sounds stupid because he looked really distraught. He looked on like the verge of tears at the end of the game, and he was walking off and he was being consulted by Vicario, and he's been people putting their arm around and being like, "Hey, it's okay, Sonny, mate." He's the senior player at the club. He's Mr. Tottenham, but he's the captain. He's the captain, and he's like, and he's the one. He's whimpering off the pitch, and that pissed me off as a fan. You want to see your captain grab the players, make sure they're going around clapping the fans, and looking like they're taking a bit of accountability, but a bit of initiative and being on the front foot in their persona. Like, they weren't on the front foot on the pitch. But in your persona, you've got to lead by example. You can't whimper off and feel fucking sorry for yourself and be like, "Oh, we've let the fans down." Don't even talk. Just show it in your persona. He looked defeated, and it's pissing me off. And it's getting to the point where it's like, does he need to be the captain? Because Romero's come out and taken accountability, saying it's not good enough. We're back at we love the manager. And you can only have a go at the manager if we've lost like 10 in a row. Then there's a management issue. But right now, and then he reposted a tweet saying if Levy he's saying that if Levy sacks Ange, that he wants to leave basically. And again, Romero he's not gonna fuck about. Like, if we sack the fourth manager under him, he's gonna just be like, "Right, Real Madrid, what's up? Like, I've got to be left on my contract. You're gonna be So I was really, really angry with Son. I know he scored last night, but these games, and I'm getting to the point. Sorry, I'm going on a mental tangent. I'm getting to the point where it's not going to happen because commercially and revenue-wise, and he's the face of Tottenham. He's the face of Tottenham. He's a massive reason why we're actually probably relevant at the moment, because Son plays for us. But I think this summer, if we're a ruthless, well-run club, I feel like this summer is the most appropriate time to part ways with him. But it's or at the very least get someone who's better than him and let him take a step back and be a bit part player, because he's not the standout player anymore. His inconsistency's leaving him. He's not a player that's like, he's levels above everyone else. He's just a part of the squad, but he plays every week, and because he's Son. And he plays every game like possible. I mean, I know we don't have really. It's like him or Werner at the moment, but even so, Odebear's not going to come in and replace him. Mikey Moore's not going to replace him. Yang, when he comes in, he's not going to come in and replace Son. I think we need someone to upgrade him. And then if he stays, he stays. If he doesn't, he doesn't. I'm to the point where I'm actually done. Like, I'm so... and I was saying to you before, Son, Bissouma, trying to think of all the players that have been here under past regimes. They felt the hurt and they felt the failure, and they failed. They are failures. They haven't won anything. They haven't got a winner's mentality. They're chasing a trophy. They've been chasing for their whole life. Son's in his 30s and he's never won a thing on club level for Spurs. And I feel like he's the captain. He's the leader. I feel like when mould is left among others, when so you put a mouldy apple within all the other like fruit, that fruit gets infected. And I'm not saying he's toxic. I think he's incredible for the club, but we got a young group of players, and I feel like that mentality is going to be sort of through like osmosis is going to affect their DNA and I feel like the problem has to be sort of cut at the source. Well, the problem's Daniel Levy. We're never going to be ambitious because the board ain't. But these players, they carry that sort of hurt. They carry it. And that weight is being put on these younger players that haven't had that yet. They're fearless.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's the way to part with. I'd rather lose Son than Romero, basically, but I feel like Romero will be gone before Son. Sorry, that was like, how do you even break that down? I just said about fucking 10 things. And I just went on a massive ramble. It really pissed me off that yesterday, seeing him whimper off as the captain after a loss at home, was conceding 4 goals.
I think it's because I agree. No, I totally agree. It didn't exactly, well, even if it doesn't like anger you, it's not anything to instill any confidence in you as a fan. Do you know what I mean? Is it? Because it's like, you look at that and think, all right, it's obviously good that he. One thing that you can take verbatim with Son is that he cares. Obviously, he does care. He cares about this club.
Of course he does. Yeah.
He wants to succeed 100%. But I look at that and think my thing straight away was not necessarily about like the leadership, even though I think you make a lot of good points and I agree with you in basically everything you're saying. But I was like, how the hell do you pick yourself up from there? Do you know what I mean? Like if you've got to that point, then we've got another game on Thursday. Like that was kind of my first initial thought, and then I think you're right. And I loved what Romero did. I loved Romero's interview, and I think people give Romero a lot of shit. And this whole like Argentina thing gets way overblown, in my opinion. Like this idea that he would, if it was Argentina, he'd play and all that kind of stuff. I know we all get sucked into that a bit because sometimes the circumstances have married up that it looks like that has been the case. But you could tell when he was gutted yesterday when he came off. And I think he is one of those players that shows the calmness on the pitch and that leadership as well. I think the thing is, when you look at this team, if you take out the fullbacks and you take out like the wingers, the spine and core of that team for the future, if you're able to keep Romero, and like I said, I'd be much more worried about losing Romero than Son. I'm not pro getting rid of Son. I think that 100% one of the priorities for the summer should be signing a game-changing winger that means that Son doesn't have to be the guy anymore. Because we've seen in games, like first half yesterday, I thought, despite the fact that there was sometimes that he was really irritating me where he wasn't supporting a doggy enough in build-up. I think the doggy was looking at him and it's like, you're not coming off the line. You're not ready to receive that pass. There was a few times where he pissed me off for that, but I thought he looked quite sharp in that first half. And obviously, he could have scored that chance where he whipped Solanke, brilliant interchange with him and Son, and he went through and whipped it just wide. And it was like, that goes in the back of the net, 3-1. We're probably having a different sort of conversation about Son. But obviously the miss in the second half and, that and stuff at the end, like, if you can rest Son, the magic is still there. The magic with Son is not there when you're playing him every single week, and he has to be the main man.
I know.
Because I think what you have got, and the reason that I make the point about the spine of the team is that Vicario, good goalkeeper, good character, good leader. Romero and Van der Ven, good partnership, good characters. I mean, Van der Ven's young, obviously, but like Van der Ven, I think will be a leader, 100%. Like Romero and Van der Ven, leaders. Skip the midfield because I think that needs massive work, and we need to sign a 6. We all know that. But then I look at Solanke. That Solanke is someone that can lead the line. That core and that spine, aside from the midfield, I think we've said this for ages. We need a number 6. If you sign that number 6 with that leadership quality and that ability to control a game, that's really promising for Spurs. But it's about holding. Like, obviously, you're going to hold on to Solanke because you've invested a lot of money. I'm looking at Romero and Van der Ven, and I think Romero will be the first to go. But I'm looking at both of them thinking, if we don't sort this out and we don't, and like, obviously, what was that BBC thing that got leaked basically saying about, like, it was obviously Romero was the player that probably had said it.
Yeah, he was talking to the BBC.
Yeah. Literally yesterday. So it was like, the players know that the board are not showing enough ambition. So it's rinse and repeat cycle of these players that, love the manager, like Poch and Conte as well. I think not so much Mourinho. I do think the players saw something with Conte where it was like, we can change this. But again, not buying the right. It's not that the board haven't spent money backing these managers. It's that we've not done the right thing at the right time. I come back to that all the time. It's not about the money necessarily, because it's not like we've not spent, but about doing the right thing at the right time. Yeah. So these players know that. Are we? Not proactive, yeah. Alice Gold wrote that thread the other day, basically saying that everything about the board and Tottenham just screams reactive. We're not proactive with anything. But those players who are part of that core spine, Solanke aside, like I said, because he's just come, and Solanke will not get another move. Tottenham is Solanke's big move, right? Romero and Van der Ven are probably looking at Romero, especially going, well, they don't back this manager who I really want to play for. Then I'm gone. I'm gone because I'm not waiting around. And that's how Spurs fans feel, I think, as well. Because look, I'm more than happy to be patient with Postecoglou, despite the fact that I think this game I've probably been more critical of him than any other, which sounds weird because it was a 4-3 defeat to Chelsea, but I think a lot of the failings of him were really obvious in this game compared to some of the other ones where I think it's been a real more mixture of both, which this also was. But anyway. I can't remember what I'm saying now. I'm really prepared to be patient with Postecoglou and patient with this group of players because I think, again, and we'll come back to summer, I love Solanke. I love that sign. I think it's great. But I really like Archie Gray and I really like Lucas Bergvall. I thought Bergvall's looked quite impressive in the last couple of cameos, and I think he probably deserves a bit more game time. I like Wilson Odobert. I like all of the young players individually, and naturally, like you have to give that time for all of those players to blossom and grow, right? But when Tottenham fans get treated like customers and we pay very expensive season ticket prices, we follow the club wherever, pay extortionate money for whatever, like those fans at Bournemouth on Thursday, whether it's train tickets, whether it's hotels, whatever it is, and you have, like, you're almost like gaslighted into thinking that this club is a club that can compete, and that's what gives you the hope every time, despite being prepared to be patient. That's where the impatience comes from, because it's like we're treated like customers. We want a product. We want something to show for it. We are buying into this thing. What are we getting in return? And we're getting nothing. And what we might get might come 2 or 3 years down the line with Postecoglou. It genuinely might. And I still believe that could happen. But it doesn't happen it doesn't happen unless he gets backed. Also, it doesn't happen unless he adapts. That is we have to face those facts as well, 100%. But it's like there are some really good players there who will not sit around and wait for that. And the Solanke signing has to be the biggest lesson to that board of, all right. And I'm going to scrutinise the Solanke signing, even though I love it, because I do love it profile wise. And say if Ange gets sacked, you've got a Premier League proven striker there that any manager will get something out of. He's perfect for Postecoglou, and there might be other managers that he's not necessarily perfect for, but he's a Premier League goal scorer. He will score goals for any manager that comes in for Tottenham and will work hard. He's a very good player. But I come back to this thing. I've said it for ages. Spurs will only sign players like Solanke when they've got a free run at them, and other clubs don't go in for them. We never sign players off of Big Six clubs. We never sign players that we will have to be in a transfer battle for with other clubs. Like Cunha, for example. Cunha, I think, will be a great signing for Spurs. Won't happen because Arsenal, City, Chelsea, United, Liverpool, whoever will be in the queue, and we do not want a transfer battle. We do not want that. It's the last thing we want. We will walk away. Yeah. And I said it in a video earlier about Levy, and I made it quite. We've spoken about Levy and our feelings on Nick and the board before, but I don't think we've ever been. I don't think I have been constantly massively vocal about it, because I think that there are people out there that might do that and bang that drum, and I think that actually kind of causes more division sometimes than good, because of the way that some people who bang that drum all the time go on about it. we all want the same thing, though. We all want new owners, and I think we all want that, because when you look at the revenue that Tottenham make and the wages that we pay, nothing adds up. Nothing adds up whatsoever. And I saw a really good, and obviously it kind of links to what Carragher said last night about Daniel Levy. It's like, you've done so much good work. Like, you've laid the foundations there. Tottenham is a club that can, but it needs the right people to make those decisions. And we are not getting that. And that is why managers like Postecoglou, etc., will be failed. They have their own shortcomings, of course, as well. But that's why they will be failed. And it's happened manager after manager. And I saw a clip from the Football Ramble podcast as well. And they're not Spurs fans. None of them are. And they were talking about it as well. It's like there's consensus with what is happening at Spurs. And that's why most like non-Spurs fans who you speak to or you engage with on social media will be like, you've got to give Ange time. Like, you can't sack Ange. Like, the only non-Spurs fans that will say that Ange should be sacked are fans of clubs who have had managers under pressure, who other fan bases will look at them, like Man United fans, for example. They will bang the drum. Some Man United fans will bang the drum about like Ange should be sacked because everybody said it about Ten Hag, and when you look at the records, etc. But like, most people will say you've got to give Ange time. It's about the owners, and I think a lot more people are starting to wake up to that now, and it's something that we've been saying for ages, despite the fact that, like, you know, I've only been doing we've been doing the podcast since March, right? I've been making content for just over a year. In that time, there has been more to be positive about than negative, even though the form would suggest it's basically 50-50 based on what you said earlier in terms of, since the Chelsea game, we've lost more games than we won. But in terms of like these fleeting moments and some performances, etc., and some of the signings and the good work that we did in the summer to get rid of the deadwood and all that kind of stuff, and Postecoglou's mannerisms and the way that he speaks, and you hang on to every word, and the players that we've got, there's more of a positive feeling than a negative one. But it's all kind of coming to a head now because of the inconsistency and the fact that we beat Man City and that's the outlier, and then we lose to everybody else. It's all kind of coming to a head, and I think those failings are, more people are speaking out on it because the shine's been taken off of the Postecoglou project. It has. That shine can come back. It can come back. But I think that only comes back if they realise what they've got and realise that they cannot bottle it and sack another manager. They need to get behind him. And if they back him with everything that he wants and it doesn't work, and like Romero said in that thing, if you lose 10 games in a row, then you have to start asking questions of the manager and the coach and all that kind of thing. And you can be the biggest Ange out guy in the world if you want, but the problem stems from the top. It stems from the top. And look, that's, you know, I don't know.
Well,
it's not a place to be in, I think, right now.
Well, the sort of frustration is that the likelihood is, you were talking about the spine and the players that have ambition, the leaders. The likelihood is that the player that is probably one of the most ambitious, the one the most in the team, not at club level but internationally, has that ambition and what you want in a player. He's going to be the first one off, and before, like, we'll have to replace him probably before we go out and buy better wingers, better backup fullbacks, a better number 6, because he'll probably be gone in the summer. I've got it. I was going to say, like, I've got a fucking source. I haven't. I was in Marbella. I was having a beer with this guy from Macedonia. Actually, I was having a. What the fuck? I was having a beer with a. I was having a beer with a guy, and he worked for Spurs. He was part of the security team, and he's the one that gets the players, people that go to the players' box, from outside the ground to their box safely. So he deals with like players' families, deals with like agents, etc. And he's a big Real Madrid fan, this guy. And he was talking to Romero's agent as he's like walking about the stadium saying, so when's he going to sign for Real Madrid and stuff? When he said this, and we were watching the North London derby in a Marbella, in a Mallorca pub, I was like, you fucking prick. Why are you fucking telling his agent to go to Real Madrid? And he was like, yeah, the agent just kept like slagging off Levy, basically, just saying like, yeah, but there's no dealing with Levy. Like, there's no dealing with Daniel Levy. Like, if it's going to happen, that's it's not going to happen anytime soon. But obviously he's coming to a 1 year left to his contract in the summer. It's sort of, that's when you make the move to make that profit, because I don't think Romero's going to, if Romero's agent said there's no negotiating with Levy, do you think they're going to negotiate a new contract? Probably not, especially with how we want to lower our wage limit. And that's the frustrating thing. Before we improve on the squad, we're probably going to have to get rid of one of our best player. And then worry about replacing him before we start going in and improving the squad. It's just fucking atrocious. And talking about Bissouma, we brought Bissouma with his quotes. I want him gone, to be honest. I've had enough of Bissouma. I know, like, genuinely, like, I'm just, you made a mistake. Look, you don't have to come out and say you're going to get better. It is what it is. You made a mistake. You're tired. I just don't want to see you play for my club anymore.
Yeah, I think the thing with Bissouma, the thing that really frustrates me with Bissouma is that, like I was saying earlier about like the floor and the ceiling, he personifies that more than any other Spurs player, because when he is good, he is fantastic. Like he is, then all of those conversations about like, oh, we need a six kind of go away for a bit, because it's like he's had some amazing performances for Spurs, like outrageously good performances. But when he's bad, he fucking stinks. Like really stinks
out of place.
Those errors and like that lack of composure and control really come to the fore, and that's why you don't need to go like, I don't know, Johnny Cardozo, for example, right, might not have the ceiling of Bissouma, but if you're going to get more steady performances that allow you to have more control in games and break up play and just give it to, like, I saw a tweet just now about from a Spurs account about Bentancur saying, do you think Bentancur is a 6? If so, can he be our long-term option? And Seb quoted it and said, if he's a rotation option as a 6/8, that's a great position to be in. He's a fantastic player. If you put him in a double, and I think Jack in a count replied to it saying, if you put him in a double pivot with a proper kind of controller with Kulusevski in front of them, that would be really ideal.
Unbelievable midfield.
I think Bissouma as well is another one where it's like, again, it's probably because we all got caught up in the good performances, but like Bissouma is an 8, not a 6. He's had world-class performances individually as a 6, 100%. Arsenal away last season at the Emirates. I can't think of many other at the top of my head, but he has had some really good performances. Arsenal is always the one that sticks out, right? He was amazing in that game. Absolutely amazing. But he is an 8. And if Spurs can sign, like, I think one of them will probably go in the summer, Bentancur or Bissouma, because I think we need to refresh that position. Sarr is obviously, you know, despite the fact that penalty was as brain dead as Bissouma's, in my opinion, yesterday, like Palmer was going absolutely nowhere. And you just kind of like, there's no need to do that. Like Palmer's looking for it, but Sarr is a like I was saying earlier about that spine of
developing player as well.
Yeah, he's great. Like when I was saying earlier about that spine, Sarr is firmly in that, but you need that base, that core of that midfield, that to be the main guy as your spine in that midfield. Yeah. So Spurs need to go. We said it earlier, and I think Lily White or on other podcasts and stuff, Lily White Lab did a good thread on this about kind of going through a lot of 6 options for Spurs, and like someone like a Stiller, someone like a Cardozo, they're very different in terms of profile, but kind of need a both. I think we need both. Like Stiller is someone that can give you that. He's not great defensively, but like someone who just gives you a lot more control, a lot more variety in his passing as well. Also a left footer in midfield. We don't actually have like any, like in terms of the balance of playing like a double pivot, it's not the biggest thing of importance, but like, I don't know, just a different option. And Cardozo is someone who's more likely just to focus on the defensive side of the game. Doesn't need to progress that ball that much. You've got Stiller or you've got Bentancur next to you to be able to provide that, or Maddison or whoever, or like Maddison in front of them. Bissouma is just like, I think people are done with Bissouma more for the fact that he's shown how good he can be, but he consistently lets himself down and lets the team down. Like those performances mean nothing. They mean nothing if that's what you're going to do.
I think to be number 6, you've got to be the most intelligent player on the pitch. And he's probably our lowest IQ and most consistent. And he's probably one of our most lowest IQ players on the pitch. Like he is pure ability. But when he runs out of ideas or his head drops, he's erratic. And he has no football brain, I don't think. And Bentancur, I'd way rather keep Bentancur because I think he has a football brain.
Yeah.
But I know what you mean. Like it's interesting because they're not out and out 6s, are they? They are double pivot players. Same with Archie Gray. Archie Gray is going to be a brilliant double pivot player. I think he's going to be like that. He's going to grow into like a Declan Rice, I think, Archie Gray, where even Declan Rice needs someone to complement him alongside him because in a loan as a 6, he can look vulnerable. Like England, like there's a hesitancy of playing him as that lone 6 because you think he can't really receive the ball back to play. Like there's elements to his game that
Rice has always been
worry
much
you
better
where
for
you
Arsenal
think
when
he's got a bit more.
Yeah, or like Jorginho or Partey's in there, like as that.
Yeah,
sort
yeah,
of, 100%.
yeah. I mean, fuck me. Stiller and Cardoso comes in, and you got a really balanced technical midfield that has physicality. I think Stiller. I'd rather a Cardoso type because I think Stiller, although he's way ahead for passing and technical like ability than like when it comes to sort of passing and he's still got that sort of agile. He's press proven, but I just think we need a destroyer. And if we have a destroyer, then you can play a Gray, Bentancur, Sarr alongside him. All of a sudden, you've got a really good double pivot, And bless you, man. I think Bentancur, Bissouma, they're caught in the same sort of phase of they're both established players. You're not going to move on Gray. You probably might loan out Bergvall, might loan him out, but you're not going to lose Gray. You're not going to lose Sarr. You got to sell either Bissouma or Bentancur to get another 6 in for squad balance, and it's going to be Bissouma. It has to be Bissouma. I just think he's had way too many chances, and it's frustrating. And again, I think it's not down to him solely. I think he's tired. I think he's fatigued, and he's making these erratic decisions on the pitch. But it's just how many times can you make these mistakes? Can you cost us on and off the pitch for it to be like enough's enough? I know Bentancur's had his own issues, like fucking hell. But I think on the pitch, he hasn't had games where he's been a liability. I don't think. Do you know what I mean? There has just been live on the Dare and Doing pod some new quotes from Romero.
And just been sacked.
Yeah. Fucking hell. Imagine like being bed just both crying, all right, for like 5 minutes.
I bet you that would be just our luck. I guarantee you that if Ange is inevitably sacked, we'll be recording live and we've been going for about 50 minutes, and then it hits us, and it's like, well, what was the fucking point of that? That will happen.
We'd have to do like an emergency pod, no? Like if he got sacked.
Oh yeah, 100%.
It's going to be mental times if he does. So Christian Romero taking massive digs at Daniel Levy. Apparently, I actually haven't read this quote yet. Christian Romero on whether Tottenham are failing behind their rivals due to a lack of investment. The truth is, I would say no comment, but Manchester City competes every year. You see how Liverpool strengthens its squad. Chelsea strengthens their squad. If one doesn't do well, they strengthen again. And now they're seeing results. Those are the things to imitate. The last few years, it's always the same people responsible. That's fucking Conte throwbacks, mate.
Yeah.
Hopefully, they realise who the true responsible ones are, and we move forward because it's a beautiful club that, with the rights, with structure it has, could easily be competing for the title every year. Christian Romero, mate. I just want to suck your cock.
I want to shake his hand.
I just want to shake your hand.
I want to shake your hand.
Unbelievable, mate. And that's the thing we were talking about. Just someone coming out. Look, again, I don't want to keep fucking making this about Son. That ain't even our club captain coming out and doing that. Like, no. If Romero's on the pitch against Bournemouth, he would have been there with Ange. Like fucking hell, I'm getting boost gumps, mate. I'm getting emotional now. That is unbelievable. Like, to come out and criticize the owners is exactly what we need the players to do, and not criticize the manager. So many times we've seen a manager get thrown under the bus time and time again under Spurs, and the regime and the ownership get away with it, and they can sack a manager and bring someone else in. It's time the players step up and say this isn't good enough. And to have a movement, you need the players to come out and say this. You need your best players to come out and say this. That is so brave for Romero. But actually, he has all the license to do it because he's in the last year of his contract. He's probably got a bit like, do you know what I mean? He's not tied down. He has nothing to lose. Like, if Levy's like, fuck you, like, you get like fined, he's gonna be like, and what? Real Madrid are on the phone. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Levy is such a little cunt
Come
right
outside.
now.
Come outside, Eldred.
Yeah, he's got Levy has got no negotiating power at all. And fucking good on you. Genuinely, that is so good that Romero's come out and said that. And it was about time that a current player and an established leader in the dressing room has come out and criticised Daniel Levy. That is unbelievable. I'm so happy with that. I feel like that swung the momentum of the pod a little bit, which is pretty mental. But I was going to get into,
like when when Bale left for Real Madrid and we all cheered him on when he scored that goal in the Champions League final. That just means that's going to be us with Romero, because it's like, he's gone, but at least he said some good stuff about the owners. I wish him all the best.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the worst thing Daniel Levy could have done. That's one of his assets, coming out and saying he's a fucking shit owner and there's no ambition there. And that's the thing that's going to change. Sorry. That's the thing. Like, we're heading into January. This is the time to get this movement going, get this momentum, and get the pressure on the board. But so this leads me on to the article. There's obviously been a briefing. The club, I tweeted yesterday, it won't surprise me if it's either way, but two things happen. The first is either you get articles saying the players are sick and tired of the training methods, etc., and the start of the end for Postecoglou, where the media outlets start writing hit pieces on him, and it's a churned thing, and he's churned out the squad and he's sacked inevitably, yeah. Or they come out with positive articles saying we are going to back Postecoglou. We're gonna go big. We're gonna look for signings in January and in the summer. So that's exactly what we've had. We're gonna back Postecoglou, which on the surface that's really good. But I think personally, that's almost like a tactic from the board. I think I won't believe it until I see it, because we've always been told this. We're always saying, "Oh, we're looking for opportunities. We're looking to potentially be look at potential signings, etc." And it's like, what does that even mean? Can we just act on it instead of like talk about it? And this was always going to happen. This was always going to. I think, like I said, I could sense this coming out, because it takes a little bit of pressure on the board, because people are going, okay, let's see if you're going to be it turns a little bit positive. We're backing Ange, okay, let's see it. But for me, I think this is the smartest thing Levy could possibly do, even if he is thinking about sacking Postecoglou, because if he sacks Postecoglou, there's going to be riots, I think, from the majority of the fan base. I think another manager sacked, where the fuck do we go from here? And you're being reactionary. So this was the best thing for Levy to do. And it's, I say this, Ineos, Man United, I said it at the time, and it came to fruition, whatever this saying is. It come out that he was going to get sacked. I think they decided they probably would sack him the FA Cup final, the day of the FA Cup final, and then he won it. And then they were caught between this, like the fan base was a bit divided on whether he should be sacked or backed in the summer. They decided to back him, spend on him, and then he was gone 2 months into the season. But at least Ineos could be like, look, we tried him. So every party wins, I feel like. And I think this may be a similar action to that, because we know there's going to be I think the players haven't got anything to give. There's some really tough fixtures coming up, really heavy hitters, cup competitions, etc. If they say it now, that looks good on the eye. Oh, they're backing him. They're sticking with him. They're not going to be knee jerk. At the end of the month, we've seen how momentum and emotion, game by game, can gain a momentum. And from Bournemouth away with the away fans and Postecoglou, feel like a loss to Rangers, draw to Southampton, a loss to Man United, a loss to Liverpool. By the end of the month, if we start getting articles about training methods, etc., players aren't playing for him, then the fans are going to be a little bit more accepting, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
But then Romero's fucking come out here and backing the manager and taking accountability and everything we want in a leader. And all of a sudden, there is pressure now back on Levy to act. So,
yeah. I think there is a possibility that happens. I think with the fact that our squad's quite young, and Postecoglou's only been here a year and a bit, and especially when you've got like a senior player coming out and saying that. I don't think there will be those kind of leaks. I think that I do actually believe that the players are behind the manager. I do think they are.
I think so. Yeah,
because he's
saw it
obviously a
after the
good
City
guy, a
loss,
good man.
win as well. You
Yeah,
can see
100%.
the connection he had there with like Madison, etc. Vicario
Yeah.
coming out and saying he's behind him.
Yeah, 100%. I do wonder that I do agree with what you're saying though. I wonder. I saw a tweet from someone like this. I can't remember who it was. Someone earlier said basically something like, "I wonder whether Ange might almost double down a bit maybe in the new year on this whole thing of like obviously with the young players that have been brought in and stuff, and do a bit of like what Poch did." Where he kind of obviously Poch had a lot more bad eggs to work with than Postecoglou does now because Postecoglou got rid of basically all the players that he didn't want in the summer. I wonder whether it's like because we were talking about like pivot players and like Gray there, he'd be great in like a pivot. I wonder whether you see something different in the new year of like Gray playing in midfield more next to like Bentancur or Bergvall getting more minutes, where he's kind of just been like Basuma, you've let me down too many times.
Way too many
I'm just going to full send it, and we're going to play these players. And also, because I think that buys more time from the fans as well, because they're like, well, he's trying to get rid of some of these players.
Yeah,
not get rid of them, but like trying to actually promote the youth that we were told in the summer that we're not going to sign another number 6 because Bergvall and Gray are ready, or whatever the sort of quote was, which didn't help Postecoglou. I know he didn't say it, but it didn't help him. I wonder whether that Ange does something like that, and you start to see Gray or Bergvall play a lot more games, like, and kind of, all right, we are moving forward. Because also, I think that when you were talking about earlier about like players, there are only a few players who have been here long enough to kind of see through all these other managers and stuff like that. Like Son, obviously. Other than that, like Porro was here under Conte, Kulusevski was here under Conte. Ben Davis has obviously been here the whole time. But most of the players are pretty much fresh to Postecoglou. It's his team for the most part. And even players like Decky and that, they've only been here a couple of years and they want to, you can tell, and Romero as well, like their mentality is top. It's different. You know, Kulusevski should be a leader. Romero obviously is the vice captain, but, you know, probably should be the captain, or Kulusevski should be in that leadership group as well, right? So I wonder whether in an attempt to sort of go like double down on this is my team and this is how we're going to move forward, then some of those young players start getting more minutes. I wonder whether he does. I don't know. I might be wrong. And a bit like with Bentaleb and Mason and that, like where we saw that, where it was like, fuck it. No, like I don't want Capu. I don't want Paulinho. I don't want these players anymore. I didn't buy them. I want Gray. I want Bergvall. Almost as a point, one, to prove to the owners, to kind of use it as a thing saying we need to sign another player because this is what I'm using. Then again, they would probably turn around and say, well, you got Bentancur.
Well, it works in his favour either way, though, doesn't it? Because it's like, look, I'm using the players you got me in the summer.
This
isn't good enough. This isn't what I need. Or
it's not like, you're right.
You
It's
see
not
the progression and they're developing in their positions, etc. And
I think from a board perspective, I think when I said that, I sort of thought straight away, well, it's like, well, actually, they're going to go, well, there you go. We bought the players for you. But it was different with like Mason and Bentaleb where they came through the academy. So it was like, you know, obviously they were, it's different in that sense. But
I know what you mean, though, because Mourinho would do the same thing.
Yeah, Skip and
he at the end of Mourinho's like tenure, he was playing Rodon centre back. He was playing Tanganga. He was playing Skip. Was it Winks? He got rid of all the players that let him down.
Yeah.
And he was, look, I'm not playing with these players. They let me down. And it almost like if he did survive that run of games, it would be like, look, you need to get rid of him, and him. You need to bring me better players that are going to work for me. And it never came through too. But my worry about Romero is that we have had this before, to be honest. Like Harry Kane. He was like Mr. Tottenham.
Yeah. He was I don't think Kane was ever as direct as what Romero's just said.
That was very direct. That was Conte-esque. And Conte got the sack for that. But Romero can't really. But,
well, do you think he looks to sell it? Well, I mean, it would only be in the January, wouldn't it? But I can't see that.
No, he wouldn't go in Jan. But the Kane was saying, look, he was basically crying out for a bit of backing. And if we're not in the Champions League, if we don't improve, etc., it resulted in him just being sold. We got Johnson and Solomon.
Wait, who's talking about? Sorry, Kane.
came, yeah, when he's actually got, it resulted in him just being sold, and we got what, Johnson, Solomon, and then Maddison. But Maddison was probably Eriksen's replacement from fucking 3 years prior.
Also, but
my worry is
Maddison's another player. Like I said earlier, like I really like Maddison. I think he's actually, like I said, this season. I think I've said it for weeks. I think the narrative and that's been really weird. I think he's being underused at the moment. But we had a free run at him, didn't we? Like Solanke. Like I loved Dom.
Yeah, no, it's true.
We had a free run. It was an easy. It was a tap in, wasn't it? It was pretty much a tap in.
Yeah. So my worry is that Levy is so impenetrable. He'll just be like, right, I'll say to Real Madrid in the summer, and we'll get Van Heck or Mark Gay or someone like that who's not as good as Romero.
Yeah.
And then we've spent 50 mil on Gay. Yeah.
I don't think Van Heck has got the pace to play in this system, but he has got the ball. He is a good line. He's a line.
You know what I mean? He's just he's not as good as Romero. Like an example of like, and then it's like, right, I've just splashed 50 mil on get Mark Gay. Like, what do you want from me? It's like, I feel like that's.
I could actually see that. Yeah, I could.
Fucking hell, that he has taken initiative, and he's been direct. That is a very direct. We haven't had that since Conte. Even Postecoglou's never ever really slagged off the board. He's just said we need signings.
Yeah.
And we're heading into a really tough run of games. And even if it does go to shit, at least the players and the board and the manager are in the same bubble, isolated from the board. The board are the problem. And that's how, like Romero was saying, like it comes from the board. You can't compete if other boards are being way more proactive than your board. You never, ever, ever break the barrier and break the ceiling. Like you said, like under Postecoglou this season, you've got a higher ceiling and a lower floor, but we never our ceiling's limited. Like we've got a fucking bungalow. We want to renovate the upstairs and fucking get a stairway, and so we can go up there and fucking and have another bedroom. You know what I mean? And we need players managers are so easily thrown under the bus. They come out, they fire shots at the board, and get sold. Way more complicated when your players start coming after your board, which is really rare as well. They don't normally come after the manager, which speaks volumes. I think he hasn't gone to the manager; he's jumped to the board.
Well, I think this is the thing because I just
go after the manager.
Well, also like this is why even if I think you are skeptical about Ange, and I think tactically I'm growing more skeptical, even though I'm fully behind him. I think this is as a fan base. There's always going to be people that want Ange out. And if you want that, like, I think we both said it the other day, like, we are fully behind Ange, but we're not going to spend our time trying to convince you that he is the right guy. I don't have the energy for that anymore. But I think the thing that needs to happen now is that the fan base need to galvanize behind Ange and the team, because getting rid of Ange or kind of this idea, this groundswell of like Ange out, if there's more pressure on the manager, that's just a get out of jail free card for Levy. So I think the pressure, despite the poor performances and despite criticism that needs to come Ange's way and the players' way, because quite frankly, it's not been good enough, that pressure needs to be directed in one direction, and that's the board. And this is what I mean about, I was saying earlier about like maybe other channels and other like things that are way too divisive with stuff like this, and it creates that divide and kind of switches people off from the Levy out stuff. And I think that's happened. You don't need to create a divide with this sort of stuff. Everyone wants the same thing. Just be a little bit less toxic, and people can get on board and try and actually get something going. So that pressure needs to go towards the board and Levy. And I think this is the snowball is starting to ball. It's starting to roll. You know, like the snowball effect could start to happen. The momentum is building. Yeah. So, you know, obviously, like I said earlier, like we've never been that massively vocal about it, because I think some people make it their MO and their mission to get Levy and ENIC out. And if that's what you want to spend your time doing, I don't have the energy for that. Fair enough. And sometimes the way people go about it, I don't think is the best, especially in terms of dividing the fan base. But I think when the stars are more aligning now to like for everybody to get on board. Like it doesn't have to be this thing about like the purple and gold lot that constantly bang the drum, which get stick. And look, I've given them stick in the past. Everyone can these are hopefully the cards fall in a way over the next few weeks that means that everybody can just get on board and apply more pressure together.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I love the fact that he said, "Well, I'd like to say no comment," and then
Yeah.
just basically,
Well, I
and
would,
then
yeah.
basically just calls like Daniel Levy a bald prick.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
It's so
Like
good.
he's just gone in on him, absolutely gone in on him, and do you know what? We know this month could be really damaging, and I said earlier, could be terminal. Like it feels like a terminal, and I was even get to the point where I'm Ange in, but I don't want to get hurt. I'll be absolutely devastated if he's sacked. Yeah. So my brain's doing this weird manipulative thing where I'm like gaslighting myself for being like almost accepting it's going to happen, telling myself it's going to happen. So that and maybe being like, oh, Brentford 1-4-2. Let me watch that Thomas Frank post-match interview. Oh,
Yeah.
what a nice guy! Like that's what I'm doing. I'm fucking gaslighting myself to like. So the pain isn't, almost like a relative that you know is going to die, yeah, and you're grieving them before they're dead, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm starting to do with Ange. It feels like a terminal illness. But Romero doing that. It's the fucking chemo punching back, mate.
Yeah.
Like, we got a chance.
We're ringing that
bell. But I feel like, but it's going to be a really painful month. But if the players keep taking accountability and keep backing the manager, is putting Levy and the board into a really uncomfortable corner for them. Because if they sack Ange, not only will they have the fans on them, you'll have a civil war within the dressing room, the players directly targeting the board.
At the board,
at the board, and that's a really uncomfortable position, which Levy isn't used to being. Normally, use the manager as the scapegoat. Let's move on. Let's get the new
or it's the manager that's just throwing the shot, like Conte. And I think the thing with the Conte thing, and it might end up being similar with Ange as well if it does happen. If Ange does something like that, is that
I know what I mean,
Well, one thing, the main difference between Conte and Ange is that Ange has always taken responsibility for the things that have gone wrong.
He's never gone after the players, has he?
No, Conte never did that. And obviously that's different management styles. And you could argue that Conte's got the success to back that up, of course. And I think the thing is, Conte lost the fans and his position became untenable, rightly so. But he also, he didn't lose the fans. I think he gained the respect of the fans, but he also pissed everyone off by being like, well, you're the fucking manager as well. Like, come on.
Yeah.
But also, that's why, the things that he said still ring true to this day. And I think at least the thing with Ange is that, despite I want to see the action of him taking the accountability and responsibility, but at least it's always been about, we've said this, and that's the thing with Ange is that I always feel myself getting sucked back in because it's like, this is a guy that wants it. He does want it. He does really, really want it. Whereas it always felt like Conte was doing us a favour. So there is that difference. But Levy will lose everyone. I think everyone if he sacks Ange, because even the people that want Ange gone, or feel like they want Ange gone, but maybe they don't because they don't want to do it again.
Yeah.
I don't think you'll please anybody by sacking Postecoglou.
No.
Even the people that want him out in a way, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
well, that's the thing. Sorry, I was just
pressure on him. There's real pressure on him.
There is, and actually, it's all about trying to find a way of making it terminal for Levy, not Postecoglou.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Like, whatever you think about Ange Postecoglou, my frustration as well, I've feeling is that you've gone from one extreme to the other with Conte and Postecoglou. That's why it was so refreshing at the beginning. But you've gone from all out defense to all out attack, and at the end of the day, you're still the same sort of position. Yeah, and like it's the total antithesis. It's really they're like the extreme of football, and you're like, why can't there be an in between? But at the end of the day, fucking fans don't want to go through another managerial change, let alone the players. How many times the players have got a short career? We're in this for life. Yeah, the players are going to be at Spurs for what, like 4 years? How many changes the manager until they're like, can you just fuck off, like to the board, and then start getting frustrated at the board, like when the tide starts to turn, and you're going, oh, another managerial sack. Media starts coming out saying stuff like, oh, Ange has fallen out with. They tried it in the international break. They tried saying Romero's fallen out of Ange, Vicario's fallen out of Madison, Bentancur. Players are just going to be sick and tired of it, and now they're going off. Like, and it's all about trying to make it terminal for Levy to back him into a corner, either back us and keep backing us. Don't do it as a one-off, or just go, like sell up and go, because it's going to get hostile. And you want to create a siege mentality of the players, the manager, and the fans against the board, and make it so if he can't sack Postecoglou because there's going to be riots, there could be players leaving, and it's going to become terminal. And what Romero's done, fucking hell, so much respect. He potentially could save us.
Yeah,
like genuinely,
he's a martyr.
No players done that.
Basically like a martyr for the cause. We might lose Romero, but we also might lose Levy.
He's the sacrifice.
He's gonna sacrifice himself. I feel like I've got a spring in my step. I feel alive now. I feel like I've got a spring in my step.
I think I've got a boner.
yeah. I think that as well. I'm going to the gym after this. I feel like I'm gonna be there, just like Romero, just headbutting the fucking wall.
Smelling salt.
yeah, like Joey Diaz.
Mate, I'm about to turn this off and go in my room and just masturbate to loads of pictures of Cuti Romero in training gear.
Mate, there's a really good one. There's a picture of Romero and Ange embracing. That's the one I'm going to pick. I'm going to take that one.
Oh, mate. I'm so happy. This is exactly what we. My worry was that it would just be the same old shit. This is different. This is refreshing. A player's come after Levy, and he's part of the leadership team. And you know what? This is where the players need to come to back Romero. No one backed Ange going to the fans at Bournemouth except Jed Spence. This is where the players need to come in and in unison. There could be a movement here.
Yeah, he's on a mission to save.
I'm looking at you, son.
Yeah. You're weak.
Stop whimpering and fucking get on Twitter right now and call
Stop crying.
Levy a dickhead.
Yeah. Pedro Porro, reactivate that Instagram or that Twitter account right now. Yeah. Hashtag Levy out. Romero Porro.
Let's get this trending. The players start
stop fucking posting anime. Stop posting anime. Levy out. I want to see all the players but purple and golden.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Yeah, what would you do if no one says anything? Just it's like Spurs athlete, Nike football official, purple and gold. All the players start following Tottenham away on Twitter.
Oh god,
and reposting.
Could you imagine?
That is mental. I'm so happy. I was so doom and gloom, but I'm actually either way, even if that's a bad ending. It's showing that bit of courage. It's showing that bit of bravery. You're standing up for. As fans, we are.
He's kind of standing up for the fans a bit. That's
it is. As fans, we are what is it helpless? We're helpless. We're clients, but we're bred into it because we love the football club. We're never gonna. Most fans are more loyal to the football club than they are their wives.
Yeah.
No, not most fans, but you know what I mean.
It's an unbreakable bond, isn't it? Exactly. I didn't choose to support Tottenham, so
that's
I think it is kind of it is sort of hopefully, fucking I don't know.
You look emotional, mate. I'm with you.
Hopefully, this is the start of something. I was going to say something, but I completely forgot what I was going to say.
Guys, I'm so sorry. I'm going to have to get my cock out. All right.
Yeah, I'm going to have to get my cock. It's all right. Just get your cock out. Get your cock out. But hopefully, it takes a lot of balls to do what Romero did, and he fucking done it.
Yeah. That's Of course, it's fucking Romero to do it as well.
Yeah, hard.
Of course it is. Romero reminds me so much of Alex Pereira for UFC. Do you know?
I thought you were going to say Fulham. That's Andres Pereira, isn't it?
Oh, that'd be so random.
Yeah, that's right.
Have you seen? You know Alex Pereira? Have you seen?
Is he the one that the other day? It was I saw the video of him where he was in the corner during mid-round, and the camera went up to him, and he just started making that face. Is that Alex Pereira? I feel like I literally saw it the other day. Or was that not him?
I'm not sure. He's Brazilian. He's bald. Well, he's not always
just
bald.
A bit of a mental bastard.
He looks like an Easter Island egg. Yeah. He looks like an Easter Island statue, and he's hard as fucking nails. And his persona is a lot like Romero. I think he really reminds me of Romero for some reason. And but Romero gives me the same sort of perception that they just don't give a fuck. Romero doesn't give a fuck. He doesn't give a fuck on the football pitch. He's passionate, but he doesn't like in his. Of course, it's him to come out and say, because he has nothing to lose here, and he's done a massive favour for the Spurs fans. And if he is sold, if he does go to the Real Madrid, like you say, he's going to be a Tottenham legend.
We'll be there, mate, when you win the Champions League, just like Bale. We'll be there.
Yeah, I know. I fucking love him. Of course, it's him as well to come out. And that's the thing. Now, the other players need to come in and in unison and start saying the same things. Or I know we joked about it there, but this is a movement that could happen. And it's down to the players.
Yeah, we need Jed Spence.
Does it? He gets sacked.
Yeah, we need to this group needs to mobilise. Jed Spence, like he could be the one. He could be the next one.
Mate, he might as well start a YouTube account and like a Enoch Out YouTube account, because he's not getting any game time. He might as well do something with his time.
Yeah,
and just like, Jed, don't bother. I know you're going to be late anyways. Don't bother coming out and doing any training. You go to my office, mate. I've set up an account for you. Purple and gold.
Yeah, the camera's just
get to it, mate. Start slagging off Daniel Levy.
Yeah, I know you can be important for me, mate. I need you. You're not going to play. Get on, Jed Spence.
Yeah, Spencer's like, minutes in the Carabao Cup, gaffer?
Yeah.
Fuck no. Better.
Even better. Yeah. Jed Spence, pick that head of yours up right now and get on that fucking YouTube channel. Oh,
I love Jed Spence, mate. I love him so much.
I saw his Instagram story yesterday.
Yeah, it was about his sister, and
I think his sister posted it,
and then he reposted it. Yeah. I know.
Yeah.
A fair play to him. He's top boy. Everyone, sorry, this it took a turn. This pod. It's got.
I feel so much better.
I feel pumped up, mate.
I feel quite giddy.
Yeah, giddy. Yeah, like I can't believe he's given us something to feel optimistic about, and I feel like we're all dreading that almost inevitability, that inevitable feel that we're led down a path with an unhappy ending again.
Yeah,
and Romero's thrown a punch, and as fans we're there and we're reacting and we're going, I don't know, it's a bit of aggression, a bit of direct criticism that we need. Levy's been getting away with it too long.
Yeah,
everyone, thanks so much. Get your comments in. Every time I feel like I've been really slacking on getting back to comments, but I love every single time there's a comment, honestly, and it means the world to us to get involved. Join the community, hit the subscribe button, follow on Spotify and Apple Pod, and all the good stuff. Everyone, legends. Hopefully gives us a little bit of something to be positive about. Obviously a really tough weekend, but we go again against Rangers. Score predictions for Rangers. 5-0,
Romero, 5 goals. Comes back from the quad strain or whatever. You just start. Yeah, fuck no. I don't know. 1-1.
The next home game, like Romero's obviously not playing. It's like a WWE, like Vince McMahon.
God.
You just no, but like it's like 27th minute. It's really random. It's like Tottenham. It's like 0-0. Who's playing? Carabao Cup, Man United, and then everyone's like, "Oh my god!" And Romero's like,
"That's Christian Romero's music."
Off the top of the Spurs. He's at the fucking top of the square.
Just like this.
Just fucking, just swinging Daniel Levy around and holding him by his ankles, and Daniel Levy's like, "Fuck."
Batista bombs Daniel Levy.
Brings him to the centre circle and just starts beating the shit out of him.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Money in the bank would be quite an ironic thing for Daniel Levy, wouldn't it? Christian Romero, Daniel Levy, Money in the Bank.
What's that? Is that the "Here Comes the Money"?
No, Money in the Bank was like a I mean, I never really watched wrestling that much as a kid, but Money in the Bank is like a.
Nah, me neither.
You know, like do like Hell in a Cell. Like Money in the Bank was like a different thing of like. Oh, this has lost all momentum.
Okay,
yeah. If you know, you know. If you know, you know. Because I don't even really know. I just know it's a thing. But thanks for watching.
Oh my god. Yeah, thanks for watching, everyone. Legends. And get involved.
Up Spurs.
Spurs. Hang on, sorry. Spurs Rangers.
Oh, fuck knows. Honestly, I could not give you a prediction.
I couldn't give a fuck anymore. Like, I don't care.
I support Christian Romero and Christian Romero only. You know,
I'm
like
gonna
people
make
have like
my-
their Twitter accounts where they're like,
like parody
like,
accounts.
yeah, that's me. I'm just gonna change my handle to Christian Romero. I might change my profile picture to Romero.
You know what? Just everyone self-destruct. Just like start just scoring loads of own goals.
Yeah,
Set up the formation in an opposite way.
yeah. It'd be more
just
fun in the
score and
championship
just-
anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, let's hurt Daniel Levy. This is a movement now.
Yeah.
Get behind it. Everyone, legends. Catch you later. I'll Spurs.
Up Spurs.